Jackie Aina's brand FORVR Mood just launched fragrance, and we've got to talk about it. By the way, if you're new here, I'm KJ Miller. I am a founder, a lecturer, a content creator. I talk about all things business and pop culture. If you like those things, be sure to subscribe, and let's get into it. Now, it is no secret that I am a Jackie Aina fan. My brand, Minted Cosmetics, has worked with her in the past. I've been following her just as a consumer of her content for years and years and years. That's true, and I'm not going to claim otherwise. So is this going to be the world's most objective review? No, I'm not even going to pretend. That said, I actually don't wear fragrance. I have eczema. I've had really severe eczema since I was really little. Fragrance sets it off. So I learned at a young age, stay away, don't wear the fragrance. And so I haven't. And as a result of avoiding it for years, I've developed a bit of an aversion to a lot of fragrances. There are a lot of fragrances out there that other people love that to me just, I don't like. Again, I think because I don't typically wear it. So from that perspective, as a non-fragrance girly, I do think you are going to get fairly objective review here because I kind of can't help it. But it also means you're not going to get a review that's going to tell you all about all the different layers and notes and everything else. Unfortunately, I can't do that because fragrance is not my area of expertise. I can just tell you as a layperson how these products landed for me, what I've liked, what I've enjoyed, and sort of what I was able to pick on, again, as a non-fragrance girly. So that's on the product side. On the marketing and branding side, I know a lot, I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, and I've got a fair amount to say. So hopefully you're interested in both of those things because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. And I actually want to start with the branding. So first of all, this is what the product looks like. She has 4 different variants of her fragrance. I was actually able to pick up the Discovery set. I know that's a little hard to see. Okay, it's got all 4, and this Discovery set is selling out, okay? Like online, I think it's completely sold out. They did have a few left at my local Sephora, and so I was able to pick it up. The packaging is stunning, and she shows you sort of a picture of the full-size bottle of each. So I want to talk about the branding as a whole. So this is what the bottles are looking like. This is what the packaging is looking like. This is what the website is looking like. Now, one thing I say to my students about brand, your brand is the set of decisions you make that tell your customer why they should care. Now, in Jackie's case, because FORVR Mood as a brand is still really in its infancy, it's only a few years old, a lot of the brand's identity is still wrapped up in her identity. And by the way, that's very common for a creator-led and creator-founded brand. It takes time for the brand to be able to be identified on its own outside of the founder who created it. And this brand is still fairly young. So I would say a lot of the brand identity really is wrapped up in Jackie's identity. And so because Jackie has millions of followers, people who have already shown we care about you, we care about the things that you're doing, I would think that her branding choices around the FORVR Mood fragrances really would need to map back to her brand identity as a creator and as a person, because that's who we've fallen in love with as consumers. So the question is, does she achieve that? And in order to answer that question, well, first we've got to understand, what is Jackie's brand? Now, Jackie is a beauty creator who has, over the last several years, really started to evolve her brand into more of a lifestyle creator. And I would say that the lifestyle content, the way that it reads to me, is luxury. And not just luxury, but luxury out loud. By that, I mean, we've all heard of the term quiet luxury, which is, very understated, a lot of times very minimalist. That is not what I typically get from Jackie. Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying she's in any way ostentatious. I'm just saying it's clear to me that she is living a luxe life, right? By the brands that she's wearing. Jackie's not afraid of a brand. She's not afraid of a label. She's not afraid of showing us the dozens and dozens of really fine, luxurious fragrances that she's collected over the years. She's not afraid of showing us her square footage, as she would say, of her beautiful house. She's not afraid of showing us the shoes, the bags, So in my mind, I would describe Jackie's brand as luxury out loud. And I would contrast that to quote unquote quiet luxury. Of course, there are aspects of quiet luxury that Jackie is absolutely embodying. But for me, it reads more as luxury out loud. And by the way, I love that. I love that Jackie is saying, this is who I am, where I am, what I like, how I do it. And you're welcome, because now you get to follow along, right? Like I love that. So if that's her brand, at least that's what I'm positing is, let's call it at least part of her brand. How does the FORVR Mood fragrance brand map back to that? Well, first, let's start by looking at the packaging. Looking at these bottles for her fragrance, I'll tell you what I see. I see a whole lot of money that was spent, because these look custom. Okay. These are very much giving custom bottles. I will tell you, as someone who for years was only really able to afford stock components that I then was maybe able to tweak here and there, but for the most part, stock components, paying for custom componentry is not cheap, because you've got to start by paying for the mold. A whole new mold has to be created, right? And even before you pay for the mold, you've got to pay for it to be designed. You've got to pay an engineer and designer to design it. Then you've got to pay the manufacturer to create a mold to make it. And then multiple rounds have to be done to make sure that everything is coming out right. So suffice it to say, it is not a cheap endeavor. And to me, these bottles very much look custom, because you have to think about it. Most manufacturers, for the stock components that they're creating, they want it to look fairly basic, because they want it to be able to map to as many different brands as possible. Upstart brands, existing brands, whatever. And you're not going to be able to do that with something that's making a bold statement. And I would argue that these bottles definitely make a bold statement. To me, this reads as money, okay? It reads as luxury out loud. Jackie is letting me know, oh, I spent the dollars on this here packaging. Now, I will say there's been a discourse, at least over on TikTok, some people saying that they thought the bottles looked cheap. And yes, I come from a beauty background, so I was able to clock very quickly, this doesn't look cheap to me. However, the reason why I think that might be happening for some people is because the more classic bottle shapes that we are used to have become the norm, and have also become what we see from a stock componentry perspective. This is one of the first things that came up for me when I searched for stock glass perfume bottle on Alibaba. To me, my guess is, for a lot of people, this looks luxe. Once upon a time, this bottle shape, that cap shape, probably was custom to some brand. But because that brand was successful, the look of this shape started to become synonymous with success. And so manufacturers said, let me create this more as a stock component that I can offer to anyone. So now we've seen components like this so much that to us, or I would say to a lot of people, it seems like this is their perception of what is luxe, because it's so pervasive. These classic rectangle bottles, classic spherical bottles, classic more ovular shape bottles, they've become so pervasive that is what I think people are now defining as luxe, when the reality is something like this. I mean, look, 11 cents you can pay for a bottle. I'll tell you right now, I would be shocked if Jackie paid 11 cents for her bottle. But it is interesting that sometimes that's how it goes. People don't realize that because something has become so pervasive, it's actually become much cheaper. In their minds, it's luxe, when in reality, it's cheap. So I think that might be what's going on. But look, to me, no, this bottle reads like luxury out loud, because it looks fully custom. So that's the packaging. Now let's talk about the names of these fragrances. Now, one thing about Jackie, if you've followed her for years, as I have, her personality is very, I would say, charismatic, very quotable, very humorous, right? She, just like her luxury is out loud, she lives life out loud and in a very charismatic and interesting and almost catchphrasy way sometimes. So when I was looking at these fragrances, I very much was thinking, what are the names going to be? Because it's, again, to me, got to map back to this brand identity that I associate with Jackie. Well, let's look at these names, okay? I Am Her, Hard to Get, You Remind Me, NDA. Those names right there are very much giving Jackie Aina. They are catchy. They are memorable. They are giving catchphrase, giving charisma. If Jackie had hit us with more generic names like, I don't know, Alive or Spirit or Lily, just things that felt kind of like generic, I think that would have been confusing for all of us because, again, it wouldn't have mapped back to the brand identity that we have of Jackie. She is charismatic. She is fun. She is interesting. She's a little snarky. That is what these names are giving. So from both a packaging perspective and a naming perspective, I definitely feel like this brand maps back to what I associate with Jackie. And again, your brand is the set of decisions that tell you why you should care. Jackie's already established herself as a creator that people care about. She's already done that brand work. So the work for this brand is to make sure, I think, that it maps back in a way that we can understand and follow. So now let's get to the product. As I said at the top, I don't typically wear fragrance. So all of this is a bit new to me, but I was very, very excited. And so I had to try it. I'm going to start with I Am Her. I did do a quick review on TikTok. I am _KJ Miller. Follow me there. You can see the review I did from my car, but let's run it back here live for y'all. So this is the I Am Her sample. I'm going to spray it on paper. Oh, that smells so good. I do remember seeing someone say this had like notes of red velvet. And I'm getting that. I'm actually getting, it's giving cake. Cake. Yes, this is very sweet. What I said in my car and what I am going to stand by here is that, to me, this is the fragrance for you if you are a body spray girly and you're trying to elevate yourself. Because to me, this feels very relatable. Like body sprays back in the day when we were in middle school and everyone was wearing them, I think what people liked about them was like, it was accessible. Like vanilla was vanilla. It wasn't vanilla mixed with orange and spice and rum and blah, blah, blah. It was vanilla. It was accessible. To me, this is accessible, but there's more depth. Definitely, I'm getting more than cake, but I'm getting that cake, honey. So if you're someone who's trying to slowly elevate yourself from the, I would call, less nuanced fragrances to the more nuanced fragrances, I Am Her is her, okay? Now let's try Hard to Get. But I'm going to tell you right now, it is hard to get up out of this box. Ooh, yes. She is still that girl. Ooh. What I like about this one is that I feel like it is sweet. I'm going to be the person who wants a little bit more sweet, but it feels a bit more subtle than I Am Her. I feel like I'm getting, like if you were to give me a hug, you would inhale for a long time because your nose is trying to pick up like, whoa, what is that? That's what your nose wants to do. It wants to go, Yeah, I like that. It's sweet but subtle, and it's making my mind go, what is it? What is it? What is it? I want more. If your mind is thinking, I want more, that's the right fragrance. Now we're going to try You Remind Me. Now, You Remind Me, what's funny is it reminds me of other perfumes. I'll be honest, this one is not for me. You remember at the top when I said, because I avoid fragrance, I've sort of developed a bit of an aversion to certain fragrances. I think this one is in that wheelhouse. of fragrances that are honestly maybe just a little too complex for me, like because my nose can't immediately identify the scent or doesn't like take me back to a place, then I'm a little confused and I'm like, oh, stay away, danger, danger, danger. It's not a bad scent, to be very clear. I think it's one of those more mature scents. That's how I would describe it. One of those more mature ones that for me, I stay away from. So if you like a mature, more complex scent, I think you might like this one. And that brings me to NDA. Now, what I remember about NDA when I tried it in my car, like or in the store, was that it was spicy. It was giving spice to me. Let's see if I feel the same way here. Oh yeah, Ooh, very much giving spice. It's almost giving. I mean, I'm guessing all of these are unisex. Anyone can wear them, but this one is almost giving like I could give it to my husband as a cologne. It is. It still feels feminine, but spicy. Like you are that girl in this one. Like you need to be confident to wear this one because it feels complex and spicy. Like you're about that life. You're about that fragrance life if you wear this one. I do like it though. I'm actually going to ask my husband what he thinks about it if he likes that one. I got to tell you, all of them are so good. As a non-fragrance girly, I really, really like them. My favorite is still hard to get, but coming in second for me might be NDA. I wouldn't have said that when I first tried them, but now as it's lingering, it's giving, I'm that girl. I know something or two about fragrance. And even though I don't, that one is feeling special to me. So I think if I had to rank, hard to get is first, NDA is second, I Am Her is third, and then You Remind Me is fourth. Again, as someone who doesn't typically wear fragrance, but I'm loving this launch. Loving that Jackie got to fulfill a lifelong dream. She loves fragrance clearly, so I can't even imagine how excited she must be. When I looked on Sephora, stuff was already selling out. This little discovery set, gone. I think Hard to Get, gone. So if you want to participate in this launch, hop onto it because it's selling out, and I think Jackie did a fantastic, immaculate job. So congrats to you, Jackie, and if you like this sort of content where we talk about business, we talk about products, we talk about pop culture, you're in the right place, and be sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time.